Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host Scotty McCoy, and I have an alumni from Friday the 13th Part 2 on the phone. He played Jeff, and I have Bill Randolph on the phone. Hey Bill, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I have about 10 questions to ask you. The first one is not related to Friday the 13th, but it's how did you get your start into acting?
I actually, in my high school, they had a very good theater department, and this was back, when we were all Neanderthals. And so I was actually in my history class, and my history teacher, Mrs. Froelich, said they're having auditions this afternoon. You should. Anybody who wants to go audition, who knows, it might change your life. And I went and I auditioned, and I got into the show, and it changed my life.
That's awesome. So what was your audition like for Friday the 13th Part 2?
Actually, I had a few. First, it was with the casting directors, and Simon and Cuman, they were the casting directors, but I think it was Fran Cuman who actually, did the initial audition. And then, actually went and, kind of made it through the ranks, had callbacks and all that kind of stuff. And eventually met Steve Miner, who directed the film.
Mm-hmm.
And he paired us up with a bunch of different Sandras, and I was auditioning with this young lady, and she was just bouncing off the walls in the audition, and I kind of looked over at Steve Miner and I said, "Are you kidding me?" And I think that's what got me the role, because we both were looking at this girl as she was bouncing off the wall for this audition, and there was that human connection,
Right.
and the rest is history.
Nice. So speaking of Steve Miner, how was he as a director?
He was great. I really liked him a lot. He was very open. Me being, kind of a young pain in the butt. I would come to set. In fact, it was like the hat was my idea. I wanted to also have black tennis shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be more, kind of a urban kid who's being dragged to the country by his girlfriend.
Right.
And a lot of times we'd show up on set and say, "Well, hey, why don't we do this? How about this?" and stuff like that. Some of it he would go with, and some of it he would say, "Nah, I don't think so."
Mm-hmm.
But I had a good relationship with him. I enjoyed working with him.
That's awesome. So what was the best part about filming Friday the 13th Part 2, and what was the worst?
The best and the worst, kind of the same thing.
Okay.
The best was that we were all up at this camp. We stayed at a camp which was a couple of miles from the campsite that we were actually filming on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were all up there together for 6 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
which, immediately forms a great camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it was the same problem. We were all up there for 6 weeks, or 6
Right.
weeks, or 8 weeks, however long it took. So, it was good because everybody was together, and it was a community, and it was horrible because you could never get away by yourself.
Right. So what was it like working with Amy Steele, John Ferry, and Marta Kober?
Well, it was actually, all of them were a lot of fun.
Okay.
And we actually had a great time on the set. Stu Charno, he and I became very good friends, and
good.
I had the most fun with him. And but everybody was open for kind of, it was a very relaxed mood on
Right.
the set, and and certainly I didn't have to go through all the stuff that John and Amy had to go through.
Right.
Because I'm sure some of that night stuff in the fake rain and real rain and whatever was probably much more difficult than any of the stuff that I had to do.
Right.
So, they might have had a little different experience than I did, but
right.
I had a good time.
Awesome. I know Stu Charno was actually my very first guest back in 2017, I believe. He was my very first guest. He was a really nice guy. He was very funny.
With who?
With Stu Charno.
Oh yeah, Stu's a character.
Yep.
He's fantastic. In fact, there was some horror show here on the East Coast, a convention that we tried really hard to get Stu to fly out and do it, because it would have been it was the first time that Marta and I were back together,
right,
since the movie, and it would have been terrific if he was there too.
Right.
But yeah, he's an amazing guy. He's a lot of fun, very funny.
That's awesome.
And very talented. He plays the piano. He's a great jazz musician.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, and not only that, but he's also a sensei.
That is awesome.
Martial art or something, but.
Right. So the most amazing death scene of the film, and maybe even of the franchise, is the double impalement death scene with you and Marta. So we know the MPAA has disallowed the use of the full scene, but can you give us insights on how the scene was originally prepped and executed?
Yeah, I mean, actually, just the spear going through the back, which you never see, we took 2 takes of that. And it took about 4 hours to get the makeup on.
Wow.
Both times.
Wow.
So a lot of that was just kind of surprisingly, I don't know, there are some photos floating around that were, kind of screen, set shots, set Polaroids and things like that. And I was pretty much on my knees most of the day.
Wow.
Because I would be on my knees in this hole in the bed, and they would attach the back on my shoulders, then straight back on the bed, so that it was where it should be. And I was on my knees, and then Marta, she was lucky. She just kind of snuck in for, when cameras were ready to roll.
Right. Nice.
So she would actually kind of scoot in underneath me, and it would look like I was lying on top of her. But actually, they needed the space between my real back and the fake back to be able to put the spear through. Nice.
Very, very awesome.
What?
That was very awesome, because it's amazing what special effects really can do, and how it's like like they say, it's movie magic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One thing I love, and I heard stories about you mentioning it before, is the whole you're already dead, but you come back from the dead when you're running through the rain wearing the poncho. Was that planned, or how did that all come about?
No, that was not planned. I mean, it was planned in the sense that it took me a long time to convince Steve Miner that nobody would recognize me, nobody would see me, nobody would know that it was me, because I had on this green trench coat and probably, you just couldn't recognize me in any way, shape, or form. And it was raining outside, and I go, when they run into the bar, I follow right behind them through the rain into the bar. Actually, I can't remember whether I was right before or right after.
Right.
But yeah, I run through the scene and run into the bar after I'm dead.
That is so awesome. That is so funny,
and
too.
I told Steve, I said, nobody's ever going to know about this. It's just going to become a trivia thing that people will talk about, and it'll be an interesting little tidbit. He finally said, okay.
Like a little Easter egg there that people that, they want to, it's kind of like, where's Waldo? Where's Bill? So what was your most memorable moment while filming Friday the 13th Part 2?
There's a lot of little interesting, different little things that certainly it was very bizarre. That scene that we do where Marta comes into the room and I'm playing the harmonica. And another trivial fact, I've never played the harmonica in my life. And it just happened to be there. I don't know whether it was part of the set, part of the dressing or something, but there was a harmonica. So I just picked it up and started playing, and they kept it in.
Nice.
And the other thing is that my eyesight, if you'll notice, it's like for camera, for some reason, they had me looking in a direction that Marta didn't come. Marta came, more to my right, and she comes into the screen, and it's like all of a sudden my eyes shift to where she is. It's just, and I have no idea why they did it that way, but I guess when they were first setting up the camera, they thought that my eyesight was better to the left. And then when she comes into the scene, of course, you look to the right where she is. And it's one of those moments where you go, huh? What was you looking at?
That's awesome.
But, it's very bizarre to be in a bed, naked with a young lady and have, 5 or 6 other people in the room.
Right. And it's even more awkward because I heard that she was like 17 when everything was being filmed as well. So it made things you want to be a professional, appropriate. You don't want to do anything that would be illegal.
Oh, let me tell you, you think about it now. I was 26, she was 16. And obviously, all the legal stuff must have been taken care of before. But I keep on waiting for the pedophile police to show up.
Yep, it's crazy. I know. We just finished filming. My production company just finished filming a short indie, like a full feature indie film, and and we ended up. One of our main actors was 17, but he was going to be 18, like halfway through filming, and so like a lot of the gratuitous scenes, like where we have like semi nudity and everything, a lot of that had to be done because he had to be on set in that scene, so we had to do all that once he turned 18. It was pretty crazy.
Oh wow.
Yep. I gave it to my agent, my legal team, and everything. I'm like, this is the scenes that we're doing. He's 17 years old. He's gonna be 18 while we're filming. Do we what is the legal way to go? He's like, best bet, safe bet, wait till he turns 18, then film those scenes last. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So did that throw your shooting schedule into havoc?
Not really, because we were already fixing up the schedule while this scene was already there. And once we already casted him, we were doing the scheduling after we casted him. So we wanted to make sure that. So me and my executive team discussed. Yeah. Well, maybe we should talk to my legal team first. And then we can, we can put this scene where it needs to be filmed. Then I discussed it with my legal team, and he's like, yeah, wait till he's 18. So I put that right after his 18th birthday. He turned 18 in, I was like early October, so we ended up filming it near the middle of October.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the safest way to go. We didn't want any legal troubles. We always want to follow the law and everything, especially being a new startup. It's always the best thing to go. So what was the environment and atmosphere like on the set of Friday the 13th Part 2?
Well, we were around this lake, and the camp that we were staying at essentially was like, a Boy Scout camp or something like that. Okay. So it was pretty clean and big and nice. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that all of us had individual camp, the counselor camps, the cabins.
Right.
So, we weren't on top of each other at night, whenever we were sleeping. And then when we went shooting at night and sleeping during the day,
right.
We all had someplace to go.
Right.
And then we would all, hop in the van or whatever to go a mile or two around the lake to the set camp.
Nice.
And that was a much smaller camp. Not much bigger than what you see on screen.
Right.
And, but I don't remember, because I'm sure that we did. I'm sure we spent a lot of time, because we didn't have trailers or any of that stuff up on the set. I'm sure that we, had to hang out a lot, just kind of around the camp while we were waiting for the shots to be set up.
Right. So, go ahead. So
I just don't remember it. I don't remember for whatever reason, and maybe this is just what the memory does, but I don't remember the bad parts.
Right.
I much remember just having a good time.
Nice. So was there anybody, like, because you're on set of a Friday the 13th, a horror movie you're filming, so and you're obviously at a a camp in the woods and nighttime and everything. So was anybody trying to scare anybody?
Yeah, Stu and I, we used to terrorize Marta.
Nice. Oh my God, that is hilarious.
And also, who else? There was two girls there that, because Marta was pretty savvy. She might have bought it the first time.
What about Lauren Marie Taylor?
No, actually, Lauren Marie, we didn't. Lauren Marie, it's funny because Lauren Marie and I she was so young, and she was very naive. And at the time, it was like, I didn't pay much attention to her. I mean, certainly now when we go to conventions, she
Right.
still looks great, and she's still beautiful, and she's a lot more fun to be with than when we were on set at the time, because she was very young and very naive.
Right.
But yeah, we would try and scare whoever would allow us to be, and also Kirsten. We also, terrorized
Right.
Kirsten.
Nice. So when you were doing your scenes with Jason, who was playing the role, Steve Dash or Warrington Gillette?
Well, Warrington actually did well. That's interesting because Warrington certainly was there, and he did. He crashed through the window in the full makeup, but I never actually was in. It was just a set guy.
Right.
Whenever they needed somebody like that knife that's coming towards Lauren Marie when
Right.
I'm hanging on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That was just some guy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it might have been Dash.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, one of the guys that had a great, had the blackened thumbnail.
Yeah.
And I don't really. It was just pretty much whoever was there. They put the shirt on him and
Right. Okay.
put him into the scene. So yeah. I mean, essentially. When we did the scene with the spear going through the back, that was all just, and I'm blanking on the guy's name, Steve Fuller. I'm trying to remember our special effects guy.
Okay.
But, we just were working with them. It was just the crew and them. Jason wasn't really in the scene. And the only time Jason was really in the scene with me was when I'm hanging on the wall.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, because I know Steve Dash did a lot of the stunts, so he probably worked a lot on set with Amy and John.
Yeah, and he did a lot more of the active stuff.
Right. Yes, that makes sense.
Like probably with Walt, but for the most part, it was whatever crew guy was on set and could put on the costume, either the boots and the jeans or whatever.
Right. So the last question I got for you then is, do you have any films or projects or anything else that you would like to promote to our listeners?
Yeah, in my dreams. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, in like the late. I started working at the New York Daily News in 1999.
Okay.
And at that time, my wife and I decided that we wanted to have a family, and I wasn't working consistently enough in acting to have health insurance.
Right.
So I started working as a graphic designer at the New York Daily News, so I could have health insurance.
Right.
So I haven't really been in the business since.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you so much for your time, though, Bill.
But listen, certainly, if there are any casting directors or anybody that I'm much more available nowadays.
Okay. Sounds great. You heard that here. If you need Bill, here he is. Friday the 13th Part 2, an amazing movie to have on your resume.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem. You were great in the movie. I am a fan, and it was a pleasure and an honor talking to you, and I thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, and you have a great day, great rest of your weekend, and stay safe.
Yeah, everybody stay healthy and safe.
Sounds great. Thank you, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Bye.